Hey guys, welcome back to Antlered Pursuit. As some of you might have already known, I'm here in Pennsylvania after college on sort of my winter break kind of days. I have about a month off, and in that time period I had about 2 weeks I could hunt in Pennsylvania. That overlapped, just so happened to overlap the late archery / late flintlock season in Pennsylvania, which means you can use archery, compound bow, crossbow, recurve, all those ordeals, and also you can use flintlock. You can even use your flintlock to shoot a doe if you haven't shot a doe or if you haven't shot your buck. You can use your buck tag to shoot a doe in certain counties if you don't have a doe tag for that area. I've been switching back and forth between using the flintlock and the bow, just because different circumstances, sometimes you can't really use a flintlock, and I sometimes want to use a flintlock, so it's just like a hit or miss. And sometimes I've been hunting in different counties where I don't have a doe tag for the area, and I haven't shot a buck, so I want to use my flintlock for that area. Some of you guys that are in Pennsylvania, currently living here, you might have already told we have this weather all the time. It's super humid in Pennsylvania, and especially during this winter. This is early winter, and I'm actually kind of surprised about the temperature. It's extremely warm. It's been, I would say, suspending around 40 degrees, high 30s. Up on the mountains, it's down to the low 30s, but it doesn't really get much colder than that. Every so often in the morning or nighttime, it gets to high 20s, but it's very, very warm, I would say, for winter time. As in Wyoming, we got some extremely cold weather, lots of wind. During the last week that we had the season available to us in Pennsylvania, I hunted Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, skipped Wednesday, Thursday, and I skipped also Friday, so this is Saturday. But I would say about 75% of those days were mucky, just like what we have right now, and which sort of limits you to only being able to use compound and crossbow or whatever, archery equipment. You can use your flintlock in that kind of weather, but really a flintlock doesn't do very well in mucky conditions. That was the counties that I was hunting in anyways. We had some snow, we had some rain, we had some sleet in some circumstances. But we're just going to go ahead and go through last week and the week before sort of about what I was doing. I have some clips that I made via, the availability times that I was able to film at those moments. I was able to film a few clips. We're going to go ahead and throw those in and sort of tell you guys exactly how I approached this late season before we continue with our spot and stalk the rest of the day. Alright guys, so we're here in the first day of, I guess, the last season of Pennsylvania deer season. I don't know if we get this thing, let's get this thing going here real quick. It's taking a long time. I don't know why it's not. Unfortunately, we're located today. We aren't going to be able to use flintlock per se, just because we're actually kind of in a bird. I would say, honestly, we're probably 250 yards from homes and stuff like that, but we're plenty a distance away for it to be legal as of Pennsylvania regulations. This area does not get pressured that often, and thankfully Dyson was like, hey, what? It doesn't really get hunted that much. You want to go ahead and hunt this property? And I was like, I mean, only if you don't mind me hunting there. He's like, absolutely not. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to take the old Hoyt Hyperforce up in the tree stand, but before we get going, we're going to go ahead and freshen ourselves up here for today's hunt on Antlered Pursuit in, I guess, southern Pennsylvania. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned. I think Thursday I might have hunted with Dyson. Friday I might have hunted home, and then Saturday I might have hunted at Dyson's house. I think that might have been what it was, because I hunted Dyson's house and I hunted near home twice or 3 times, so I can't remember exactly. But I hunted every morning and every evening, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Monday and Tuesday I hunted every evening and morning. And now Thursday, I think it was, I'm trying to remember, I think it was morning on Thursday. We ended up at Dyson's house. I don't know if you can hear it. You can probably hear it in the clip. I'll show it right now, but we can actually hear a buck, or a presumed to be a buck, that was chasing a doe. The doe was actually bleeding. You could bleat a few times. You can actually hear it. Listen very closely. You can hear the deer bleat, and then you can hear a deer a little bit bigger, more aggressive, walking right behind us. Listen very closely. I know it was kind of hard to tell the distance away, but you can definitely hear the sound that those deer are making. And they're about 25 to 30 yards away. That's what we were suggesting that it might be. Still very dark, still couldn't hear, but we just arrived in the tree stand and just happened to hear what was going on. And that spot is a very urban setting. There's a lot of houses going on. It's a sort of a strip of property that these deer will use to travel to the food sources in the morning and evening, or to come back, and vice versa. Or do they even screw around and they just roam around there during the daytime. And then Monday and Tuesday, I took my cousin David up to Sullivan County, Pennsylvania. We decided to hit the deep woods of Sullivan County and just do some spot and stalk. It was raining, and I didn't really feel like sitting down because those deer, I know what they're going to be doing during the rainy conditions. I've had success before during rainy conditions. I was like, okay, there's not many people moving around. Those deer might not get pushed as often as they would in the rifle season. So let's just go ahead and go around and see what we can do and see what we can find by just spot and stalking. Sure enough, Monday, we didn't have our flintlock because it was just too rainy. I was like, oh, darn. I mean, sometimes you just, as part of hunting, you decide what weapon you want to take, and sure enough, you can't shoot anything with that weapon. But we saw some deer about 50 to 60 yards away, and I'll play the clip right about now. You gotta get it up. Just don't let them see us. That's about the deer you can do for them. There's one in front. They're both down. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying there might be a buck in the background, so you can't let them run away. Also, bucks run away, but if they walk away, you might be able to get a buck. Now these deer didn't really know that we were there, but they knew that we were there, but we were walking extremely quiet for it took us a little over 3 hours to travel 2 miles on the straight trail. So we were just walking extremely quietly, just taking our grand old time, being very patient with the whole progress. And we saw two deer actually about 50 yards away. I told David to get up on them just to see if they were a buck, if there was a buck in the area, if there was a 3 points on one side or better. And sure enough, they were both doe. Now these deer were right along the trail, and we had to walk right past those deer to continue our path, but we didn't want to scare those deer away. And sure enough, we got to about 15 yards from those deer. Totally broadside, perfect shot before they took off. Unfortunately, none of us had our doe tags for that, but that's just hunting. Sometimes things don't go quite as planned, but it was a lot of fun. Now we're here on Saturday. Tuesday we didn't really see anything. It was crappy weather. We actually came home early and then hunted around home. But the strategy that I put into foot on today is spot and stalk. But before spot and stalk throughout the woods, because there's lots of noise sometimes, I was spot and stalking food sources. Last year, during this time of year, I was using a flintlock, and I was walking around this field, just like the one we have right behind me. I was walking along this field, totally looking for the deer that are still in the field, but if you walk the edges, or sometimes even in the woods a little bit, very quiet, and take your time it just perfectly, so when you get to the locations, it's just shooting time. Sometimes you can still see those deer there without really being too aware of humans. And it just so happens last year I saw one, missed it at 20 yards with the flintlock, which happens to all of us sometimes one time or the other. But today we had our compound bow. We were doing the same thing. We didn't see anything, but we did see some fresh tracks, did see some manure. There's lots of deer sort of in this area at certain times of the year, but right now I'm just not seeing as much sign as I would in archery season. But I guess that's the first week summarized. I couldn't get much filming done, just because of the rain. The circumstances just didn't provide a lot of filming opportunities. We didn't see very much, so I couldn't film very much. But I did see some deer. We did have some fun. We're going to be going over towards this next week, hunting around my house in southern Pennsylvania again. Hopefully do some spawn stalk on a nice deer with the flintlock or with the compound. But until then, guys, one more week to go, and then we'll see you guys up on the mountains of Wyoming. And we're going to continue our quest about living the outdoors, pursuing those dreams that you have in mind, and that's what we're going to do in Wyoming, and that's what I want to do for a living. So here we are. I'll see you guys next time on Antlered Pursuit.